Our primary vulnerability when it comes to things like narcissistic abuse are pre existing triggers, reactionary behavioral paradigms that cause tunnel vision, where the trigger itself obscures reality and forces the person to try to address the profound emotional change. So, like feeling not good enough, or fearing abandonment, or guilt, for example. See, these come from very early childhood. The reason why they're so profound is they're reactions that a small child has that paralyzes the child and subordinates them. And so it recreates the fear of a young child, as well as the guilt, and as well as many other fears like experiential abandonment that has the threat of life or death. And so when you look at somebody that's been discarded by a narcissist, you'll find that all of the emotions that they feel have really nothing to do with objective reality. It's why people get hoovered, is because they feel crushed, devastated. They feel small, powerless, incapable. They feel broken, profound confusion, a sense of being totally lost, unsafe, abandoned, and really like they did something wrong, and a real profound sense of being not enough. Now, none of those emotions have any grounding in reality other than they were triggered. And these emotional triggers were present before the relationship. In fact, the trauma bond is entirely based on this, where you're surviving, attempting to escape these profound feelings, and that's where the breadcrumbing comes into play. It's how manipulators gain control over targets, is preying upon these vulnerable, already existent dynamics. Now, healing traditionally is seen as an emotional change, like a restoration to the way you used to feel. The problem is that healing does not involve the accounting for and removal of these triggers. And so that's why somebody might feel confident to resume relationships, thinking that, well, you've learned about narcissists, you're aware of red flags. The problem is that the red flags with narcissists are so obvious. They're not obvious when you're triggered, because when you get triggered, it causes a profound state change. It rearranges reality, and it's like recreating a childhood experience that has nothing to do with what's actually happening. So healing is not really about restoring yourself to the way you used to feel about yourself. It's about recognizing that these triggers themselves need to be addressed directly so that you have discernment in a new way. Many people find that they have profound awakening experiences when they've really hit rock bottom. When you realize that this people-pleasing, reactionary way of existing is something that is like a child's way of surviving narcissistic parents, for example, you'll see that there is no future for being this way in this world, that you can't go out here blind to the realities of the nature of other people. You can't live your life idealizing people and seeing the good in them. It doesn't mean you need to demonize them. It just means you need to stop reacting. But you see, those reactions are involuntary. That's the challenge of it. And people sometimes feel really, really bad when they feel like they keep making the same mistakes. But you see, it's not so much that you're making mistakes. Within the way that reality shows up to you, you're always doing the best you can do. So you want to start to depersonalize these triggers, meaning that it's not your fault. This is just part of being a human being. It's why, your experience is just like everyone else's, because we all have that. And so how we address it is addressing the triggers. And then you start to see that as you address those triggers, you gain immunity to manipulation. That everything you've been through now becomes wisdom. And then without the reactions, you don't need to personalize the bad behaviors of people. And you'll find the emptiness, because many people, like narcissists, these behaviors don't actually have the same emotion that you think they do. Sometimes when they're being nice to you, they may feel terrible, and they're being nice because when you're nice to them, it makes them feel better. Or when they're being disapproving, they may not actually feel disappointed. Or if they're acting angry, anger is something they learned as a behavior to get results. And so they have very cause and effect behaviors that are emulating emotions that may or may not actually exist. But you see, either way, it's arbitrary behaviors that have nothing to do with your true nature. And you want to be somebody that can see that. And when you can see it, then you protect yourself. Another benefit of removing triggers is that it changes what your needs are. You see, if you're living your life with all these triggers, it makes you more susceptible to trying to find safety with people, meaning that when you're meeting new people, you're evaluating them based on how they make you feel. Do they make you feel safe? Do they make you feel like they care about you? You see, that's why love bombing works, is because even as you've been through these hardships, it makes you even more inclined to try to look for evidence that they actually care. But you see, that's not what you need to be looking for. You don't need to look for safety and whether people love you or care about you right away. You just need to be interested in the person. You want to be interested in their worldview, their philosophy. You want to be interested in how they see other people. You want to be interested in their relationships, because you don't want to be with someone that has a lot of instability, that experiences victimhood, especially someone that experiences victimhood when they claim that someone else is mentally ill. It's like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like, if you had a concern about someone's mental illness, then you would not be a victim. You'd be sympathetic or compassionate, not angry or vitriolic or hate them. So a lot of the things that's troubling is that many people that have these hidden triggers, they find comfort in the lack of perfection in people, almost safety in understanding that this person's not perfect either. And so that's the oddity of it, is that you're almost qualifying someone based on feeling like you could be good enough for this person that also themselves might have some trauma or some past issues that you think is vulnerable for them to share. But see, that's almost like a lack of accountability for addressing your own challenges. So rather than trying to find common ground and settling, start thinking about just going for it. Stop worrying about qualifying and being good enough for people. Go for what works. Go for the healthiest people you can find. Go for the people that are really up to stuff. Really put yourself out there. You don't need to compromise. There's no deserving. People get what they get. Just go for what you want. Don't worry about deserving it. This is not a world that rewards the deserving. This is the world that rewards people that just go for what they want. You want a healthy person. You want a great relationship. You want somebody that respects and values other people. You need to see that they respect and value all people. You don't want to be special. You want to be respected as a human being the way you would want to see people respect other people as well. So rather than needing to be special compared to others, you want to see somebody that just treats people with dignity, kindness, and respect by default. And so pay attention to that. Don't feel special because they treat you better than others. You want people that respect and value people in their lives, period. So that you'll just fit in, and that's all.